So here's the problem with AR-9s. In the past year and a half, 2 years, they have been incredibly expensive. They were all well above $1,000, usually closer to $1,200 to $1,300. Then a bunch of companies started coming out with more affordable Glock mag compatible AR-9, but they didn't include the last round bolt hold open. Now that may be important to you, maybe it's not. Why do I even say all that? This is the FM Products AR 9mm. Now what makes this one very unique, aside from its side charging handle up here, is it has a last round bolt hold open. It's made right here in the United States of America, which is freaking awesome. And it has a lot of other goodies about it. Here's the good thing. It's actually quite affordable. You can buy it as a complete lower. I haven't tried their lower receivers yet, but I definitely want to try those. But you can get it as the complete upper, or you can buy it in pieces. You can buy the receiver, you can buy the barrel, you can buy the bolt carrier group, you can buy the handguard, whatever your little heart desires. You can piece it out, and then they have lower receiver parts. Now the question kind of becomes, well, is it really quality? Let's dive up close. Let's find out what kind of parts they're using, the specs about them. Then at the very end, we're going to talk about my final opinions about this, knowing what I know now.
Let's take it apart real quick. Let's talk about some of the tech specs with it and find out, if the materials it's made of are actually quality. Because just because something's made in the United States doesn't mean it's always made of quality parts. I'm actually going to take this red dot off too, so we can get that out of the way. This is the Vortex Razor, and I got it with a American Defense mount. I'll put links in the description for all this stuff. If you guys see anything that you want to pick up, whether it's this upper, or if you want to see the build series for this one, or anything you see, all the links will be in the video description. Just check that first link. So this one is a little bit different from like your standard upper receiver, and let me show you real quick what I mean. So with this lower receiver right here, this is the original upper I got. It has like a 5 or 6 inch barrel on it. This one, I believe, okay, so I think this one's the 8.5 inch barrel. That's the blast forwarding device. 8.5 inch barrel on this one, and I believe a 5 or 6 inch on this one. But here's what's different about it. Because this one's side charging, it works right here. When you pull this, it pushes your bolt carrier group out like that. One thing that's very interesting is there's no charging handle back here, but you get this nice little triangular block that flips up. It allows your bolt to come out. So we're gonna wipe this off with the microfiber just to see if we had any premature wear on it. But I gotta tell you, man, this thing has really been impressing me. So the bolt itself is made out of a 4140 steel bolt carrier. It has a salt bath nitride on it, which gives it that very smooth and slippery surface. I've wiped all the lubrication off of this, and you can see how shiny it is. It also adds to the wear resistance of it because you have less friction. It takes longer for it to add up on there. It also has a removable weight. You just punch this pin out right here, but it has a removable weight that is compatible with all PDW stocks and captured recoil systems. So if you're having cycling issues, you could take that weight out and maybe that would help it. You'll notice on the back side here, this is ramped right here. And what that does is it accommodates both mil-spec and aftermarket hammers for the 9mm platform. So a lot of times when people were using AR-9s, they were putting aftermarket triggers in them and they were having a lot of problems with hammer follow. And as you can see with this one, I was using the Hyperfire trigger. This thing's crazy, man. It looks like a suspension system. I have a video on that. If you guys want to go check it out, I'll link it below. This was developed so that would be a non-issue. Now, it's been a non-issue with this bolt as well from Inkstadt Arms here, but you can also see they have a little bit of a ramp back here as well. And it also has a removable weight. And honestly, it almost looks identical, but you can see some pretty big differences with it. Mainly being this extractor right here. This extractor is a lot more robust and differently designed than the extractor right here. So this extractor is actually made of an S7 tool steel, which is pretty much the strongest tool steel that is available right now, at least for gun parts. So that is pretty awesome. So you're not gonna have to worry about any extraction issues or your extractor wearing out anytime soon. Like I mentioned earlier, this one is made in the United States of America. Now there is a couple of things that they didn't mention about this that we'll talk about here in a second. Moving on here, we have our upper receiver. There are a couple of things that I noticed about it. So right here, we have the Inkstadt Arms. You can see the ejection port is very small. There's also not a shell deflector right there. On this one, we have a larger ejection port with a shell deflector. That's kind of nice. So if your shell casings aren't going all over the place. Now I will say, when we were shooting this, the casings were landing in my truck, which It's kind of crazy. Now, I didn't have this upper out there with me to compare it, but we'll do that in a follow-up video. Now, as far as the barrels are concerned, you can get these in 9mm or you can get them in 45 ACP. They have a 1 in 10 twist rate, which is basically the same as an OEM Glock 19 barrel. They have that same exact twist rate. They also have the salt bath nitride melanite coating on them. They're also made in the United States. On the 9mm, you get a 1/2 by 36 thread. On the 45 caliber, you get a 5/8 by 24 thread. They did state on their website that it's made from an ultra premium true match grade barrel blanks. So very interesting. One thing that they don't mention here, the barrel is made of a 4150 chromoly vanadium steel alloy and it's button rifled, and they're claiming that it has match grade performance. And I will say, at the range, we were hitting that steel pretty easily and I wasn't aiming carefully and I had an unzeroed red dot. So that's pretty cool. Now, looking up here at the front, you're not gonna be able to see it very well, but we have the forward blast diffuser right here. It's 2 inches in length, so it will add 2 inches to your barrel length. Keep that in mind. This one also has the melanite salt bath nitride coating, and it has these little bitty ports right here that helps shoot all the gases away from your face. If you guys ever saw my very first AR-15 pistol build that I did in 5.56, I did it with a 7.5-inch barrel, and it was like getting punched in the sinuses when those concussive forces would come back. Then I got a blast redirection device, and I never had an issue since. Looking up here on this side charging, there's a little track system that goes right up in here into this upper receiver, and I am assuming comes all the way back here. We can pull that back. I'm actually going to clean that little tube off. Then I'm going to take a little bit of shooter lube here. I've been using this for about 1.5 years now. It works pretty good for me. So if you guys are interested in shooter lube, it's a little 2-step system. It has the lubrication and the solvent separate. So you don't got to worry about, with CLPs, a lot of people are like, well, when does the cleaner know when to stop cleaning? And, it might eat into your stuff. I don't know if that's true, but I've been using this, had really good luck with it. So there we go. So when I first got this, I noticed that this thing was a little stiff, and all I had to do was put some lube on this rod, and I put a little bit of lube up here in this track system, and now it's running buttery smooth. And I can only assume that with time, it will only get smoother. So you can see right here, boom, look at that. That is so cool. So to put it back together, you just flip this little triangular piece up and put some lube on here. I'm assuming, based on how slippery this bolt is without lube, you could probably run this without lube. I did a test a couple of years ago with a nickel boron bolt. I think it was the Aero Precision one, and I ran it without lube for a couple hundred rounds, and it showed 0 wear and had no malfunctions. So let's jump up top. We got a couple other things that we need to talk about with this because there are some other parts that you can get with these, and I want to talk about what we're going to do going forward and my final initial impressions of this upper receiver.
Back up top, this thing ran without a hitch. Now, you guys saw me put, I think, about 60-ish, 75 rounds through it on camera. I went ahead and put another 300 rounds through it off of camera, and I still didn't have any malfunctions, any failures to feeds, failures to lock open. If I would have had some issues, I would have turned the camera on and started recording to repeat the issues, but thankfully nothing happened. So let's talk about what the pros and the cons are of this. Pro number one is you can get it in 9mm or 45 ACP, whichever one that you choose that is compatible with Glock mags. I also believe you can get these uppers, and I think they have some lowers that are compatible with the Colt style magazines if that's something that you'd want. But if you want the Glock style, they have that as well. Pro number two is they're made right here in the United States. I mean, I always like supporting American-made companies when I can, and it's really nice to actually see a gun that is made in the USA, but the prices aren't through the roof. And I always understand when a company makes things inside the United States, the price is always going to be a little bit higher because we have high minimum wage in the United States. So that makes sense, somebody's got to pay for it. The next pro is the side charger. The side charger is really nice for when you're out shooting. You're like out in the field and you're bang, 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 bang. Oh crap, I had a malfunction. Your hand is already right here. And then you can clear that malfunction, check it, and shoot. So clearing malfunctions theoretically should be a little bit easier for you. However, you still have your last round bolt hold open. So theoretically, this is an empty mag, but if you were doing a reload and you went to press your button, it's still there. So your manual of arms still kind of remains consistent. The only thing that changes is the side charger. When I first got it, the side charger was a little bit stiff. Like I felt like I was having a hard time pulling it. I put a little bit of lubrication on it, just some standard gun oil. Now it's very, very slippery. I do like how the handguard completely covers the blast forwarding device because it gives it a nice monolithic clean look to it. I can really appreciate that. Now, so far, it's been really, really accurate, despite the fact that I had an unzeroed red dot on it. I mean, granted, I was shooting at 50-ish feet. So far, so good. The other pro is the blast forwarding device that comes with it. It is a very small linear compensator. And as you can see in the footage, it was shooting fast and flat. So there's no complaints there. Now, their bolt is a one-piece design, and they say that that is superior to a two-piece design. I haven't had any issues with the two-piece or a one piece, so I can't really comment on whether or not that's true or not, but it is very, very nice looking. Now, right now I have it on my Angstadt Arms lower receiver. We did a build with this about a year ago, and let me show you what that looks like kind of put together. So this one has the last round bolt hold open as well. I believe I'm running a 5 or 6 inch barrel. Don't remember the exact dimensions of it, but if you guys want to see that build series, I'll put a link below. I did have to take all the tutorials off of YouTube, but I'll put a link to where you can find those tutorials for this as well. This has been a fantastic build, and it should be, because I believe this build cost around $1,100 to $1,200 without all the cool goodies on it. So that's something to keep in mind, guys, is yeah, you can get all the cool goodies and stuff, but at the end of the day, how much does it cost? I'm just super excited to see the prices are finally starting to come down. Now let's talk about some of the cons about this, or the possible cons. A while back, I did a review on this gun. This is the CMMG Banshee. This is an AR-9 that, you know, you don't buy it to build, you buy it just to shoot it. Now, this one is about $1,400 to $1,500, but this one has a feature that none of my other AR-9s have, and that is what's called radial delay blowback. And what radial delay blowback is basically, it is a little system that's integrated into the bolt carrier right here. You see how it's spring-loaded? A standard AR-15 doesn't have a spring-loaded bolt. Well, the reason they did that was to increase what's called dwell time. So when CMMG developed this, the thing they noticed was the velocities were a little bit slower in AR-9s when they expected the velocities to be higher because you have a longer barrel. Well, the reason that is because when you fire it, you'd have to have a super high-speed camera to see this, but essentially, before the bullet would exit the barrel, this bolt was unlocking. It was starting to move back. What that was doing was it was releasing some of the back pressure prematurely, and it was slowing the bullets down. So they created a system that eliminated all of that. Now, currently, if you want radial delay blowback, you're gonna have to go with CMMG. Nobody else makes it, and I believe they have that patented, so nobody else is gonna make it for a very long time. But with all that being said, here's what I think about the FM products. One, it's made out of high quality materials. It's made right here in the United States. It has last round bolt hold open. It has side charging. You can get this upper with or lower for around $600 to $700, just depending on where you get it. I will put links below for all these parts if that's something you guys want to check out, because I've never seen anything with this much technology kind of in it with the side charging and everything for that price. That's just ludicrous. I say all that to say this: we're going to be continuing to do more videos on this. I'm going to get a hold of one of their complete lower receivers. We're going to mate it to this, and I want to kind of get a feel of what the complete firearm feels like. But as far as their uppers are concerned, if you want to build it with a different lower, or if you want to build it with one of their lowers, I honestly think these are well worth the money for what you get. Everything is included, you just slap it on a lower. So let me know what you guys think about this upper receiver. I think it's a win, but time will tell. We're going to put a lot more rounds through it here in the near future, but I wanted to show you guys this because it was something that was super exciting to me. Anyways, until next time, guys, you guys stay sexy, and I love you.